is Mark Molnar. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern and Hurricane Eastern. We're going to talk about the tropics first. Invest93L, just east of the Lesser Antilles. We'll see if that is destined to become our next named storm and its impacts on the Lesser Antilles and the rest of the Caribbean islands. We'll take a look at a tropical disturbance around the island of Hispaniola and whether that has any chance of development. We're going to also zoom to the Eastern Pacific, where Pamela could become a major hurricane before slamming into the west coast of Mexico and being entrained up into the front that stalled across Texas that's causing all that severe weather, which will go over all the severe weather in North America as well. Also, we're going to talk about all the warm weather we've had back east. Do we have any chance of cold waves? Or are we going to be destined the rest of October to be well above average despite all this beautiful fall foliage we have coming? And also, don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell button so you're alerted when I come out with one of these videos. And also, smash the like button, gets the video more exposure. And down below, if you have a question or comment, go right ahead. Down below in the description, there also is timestamps if you wish to skip ahead. Let's get right into it. And we're taking a look at the Eastern Pacific here. Pamela, pretty much going to become a major hurricane. It will begin to bend away from once later Tuesday into early Wednesday, away from the Baja of California. So I think you'll be okay here. But this system really pushing the limits here once it gets past early Wednesday morning, because then we see landfall potentially late Wednesday morning here. But it has a really good opportunity, a lot of warm surface water temperatures here to develop, and I do think this thing could go beyond 125 miles per hour, potentially as high as 130 or 140, because looking back, if you remember Hurricane Patricia of 2015, that storm got to max sustained winds of 200 miles per hour. Not to say that this one will follow a similar type of thing, but these storms can really intensify rapidly over the Eastern Pacific here. So we'll watch for it. Once it gets landfall here in western Mexico, it will be entrained there. Look at that, all the way up into Thursday, into central Texas, and be entrained into that front that stalled across Texas, and that's causing all the severe weather and potential for flooding. And we're taking a look at the tropics here. Invest93L is just east of the Lesser Antilles here. We'll watch for that system to move west-northwest and eventually more towards the northwest, towards the island of Puerto Rico. I don't think at this point there's going to be much room for development here, but eventually, anyways, whatever happens to it, it's likely to be steered around the periphery of this outer high-pressure system out here, way out in the Atlantic, so it will begin to be drugged northward here, as well as the system around the island of Hispaniola. If it even makes it through the mountainous terrain, anything that does develop out of this would be in the eastern Bahamas, but would eventually recurve and not really affect the United States. Right now, the rest of the tropics, we're looking very uneventful. The Gulf of Mexico is clear as a bell, and the rest of the tropics, intertropical convergence zone, is a little active over towards the Cape Verds. We'll continue to watch that. Here we go with Pamela, looking very big, large circulation here, covering a lot of real estate here in the Eastern Pacific. There is no wind shear to be had here. Lots and lots of high sea surface content temperatures all the way to the coastline here. This system definitely becoming a major hurricane, going to cause a lot of problems here once it becomes a major hurricane, slamming into the coast and wringing out lots of moisture into the mountains once it makes landfall, and eventually affecting Texas. So let's get all into it here. And taking a look at the satellite photo of the Gulf of Mexico, wow, you really can't get this much clearer. All that sinking air as high pressure pretty much takes over most of the showers and thunderstorms over Cuba here. And we head across the rest of the Atlantic. Look at this. We have that Invest system out here just east of the Lesser Antilles. We're watching flare up just on the east side of it. Also another tropical disturbance here around the island of Hispaniola. We're going to see if that's going to have any sort of development once it gets up in here. And the intertropical convergence zone, we're continuing to watch it off the coast of the Cape Verds and Africa here. So nothing of interest at the moment. All right, taking a look at the tropical Atlantic. We're taking a look at the GFS first. Take a look. We have that trough developing. There it is in central North America. We have those systems along the east coast. Nothing of development out of that. Nothing ever came out of that. We have that tropical wave east of the Lesser Antilles. Another disturbance around the island of Hispaniola here. Big old low pressure system up here in the North Atlantic for your Monday. And taking a look as we progress things here. GFS really not making anything out of this, but I want to make note. There is Pamela. Look at that. Becoming a major hurricane by Wednesday morning there. before slamming into the coast of, well, that's kind of weird. It kind of disappeared there for a second. In fact, that is really interesting. Look at that. Well, anyways, we have that tropical disturbance just north of Hispaniola trying to develop into something here. Invest93 kind of completely washes out here, so nothing really of interest, and still that weakness there with that tropical disturbance. By this point, Pamela is completely absorbed here into this front. It's going to be causing all kinds of problems along the southern plains. Let's get right into the CMC. We'll see if we have anything different here. There's Pamela. There is Invest93L, and there's that tropical disturbance around Hispaniola. We put this into motion for your Tuesday. There it is, getting ready to slam into Mexico here. We also have that tropical disturbance still showing up here, the Invest93L, and another one here just east in the eastern Bahamas for your Wednesday. And then we put this into motion for Thursday. I don't really see Invest93L there anymore. There is that tropical disturbance trying to hold on. Pamela is becoming completely absorbed at this point into Texas, that frontal boundary. And we put that into motion. The rest of the Atlantic not looking really good. Well, actually looking really good as far as quiet weather. But at this point, I don't really see anything really on here. I mean, there are some spin-ups here in vorticity, but nothing really major at this point as we progress on into the weekend. And then here we have the Euro, King Euro. There's that trough. Pamela, right off the coast of western Mexico here. Here's Invest93L just east of the Lesser Antilles. There's that tropical disturbance around the island of Hispaniola. We put this into motion, and look at that. Euro really not picking up on anything here. Maybe something east of the Bahamas here by Thursday. Pamela, let's go backward here. Yep, there's Pamela. Early Wednesday, slamming into west coast of Mexico. Becoming entrained into central and eastern Texas here by your Friday. All that tropical moisture being fed. And look at this. We head into the weekend. Don't really see anything. Oh, Euro's kind of hinting at something maybe tropical just west of the big old high pressure system here. All right, let's take a look at Pamela here, going to become a major hurricane, starting off with the GFS for Monday. And look at this. Propagating towards the southern tip of the Baja California. Look at that. Moving towards the northeast at this point, towards the coastline of Mexico. And this is early Tuesday. And then heading on into Wednesday, this becoming a major hurricane as it approaches the coastline here of western Mexico and pushes it in where we just don't seem to have data here into central Mexico. Heading off with the CMC, a similar pattern here. You see Pamela heading up towards the southern tip of the Baja California here, becoming a major hurricane by early Wednesday before making landfall. And we get into the Euro, showing very similar, maybe just a little bit further west, but swinging east here before making landfall. So there you have it. And I wanted to show you the surface map here on the GFS, showing a pretty formidable hurricane. The surface map, we can see taking it down to 965 millibars here by early Wednesday morning, 961 before plowing it inland here. It's being steered by the periphery of this outer high pressure system here, and then that trough digging here across the southwest in the Rocky Mountains, and then it's eventually picked up here. You can see on Thursday. Let's back that up there. It's literally the low pressure is right across central Texas here, so that's going to feed into that severe weather outbreak here across central Texas and potentially add more fuel to the fire here. All right, let's take a look at the geopotential heights here. This is going to take us to see if the pattern is going to break down or whether it's going to be that stubborn pattern. These patterns typically get stuck, especially this time of year. You have a negative NAO index. Look at these. Look at this blocking going on up here. Nothing can really move at this point, but you can see Tuesday into Wednesday, these areas of blues. This is where the more lower heights are, more inclement weather, troughs digging, ridges signifying here into the more darker red colors here, and putting this into motion. This isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So there's that system really plowing the northern Rockies and northern plains with probably some of the season's first snow, especially in the higher elevations. But look at these positive heights in eastern and northeastern Canada, and negative, or these lower heights here just off the coast of eastern Canada for your Thursday, and heading through the rest of the week. We try to get some troughiness here in the east, so we might see some changes come later in the weekend here. So we'll potentially watch for that. Getting into the CMC model, let's see if there's some agreement here. That trough digging. Look at these positive heights out here in the northern Pacific. Got negative. All this storminess here in the North Atlantic with that stubborn blocking going on. And look at that. We head throughout the week. Still having these higher heights here. This ridge really developing across the east. It might eventually, as you can see, it starts to make headway according to the CMC. That's really interesting here. And look at that. That is really interesting. So by early next week, we could potentially be seeing a trough here across the northeast and eastern Canada. Still some, look at that. That really goes blocking there. And we'll take a look at the NAO index to see if that correlates here. But it looks like some changes are definitely in the offing for next week. Here we go. Let's take a look at the temperature anomalies real quick here. Look at that. There is the trough out west. This is for your Monday. Tail of the cold continent versus warm part of the continent. Look at all these higher temperature anomalies, anywhere from 12 to as much as 20 degrees above average here, especially in eastern Canada for your Tuesday. And we stretch this into, look at this, Wednesday. Really below average out here, anywhere from 16 to as much as 25 degrees below average here out west. Let's see if any of that bleeds east here. By the weekend, look at that. Now it does moderate for all it's worth here, and we do get a moderation back west here. So we're going to scour out some of this warmer than average temperatures, and we finally make it to next week. And of course, we do have another warm wave trying to sweep through here, but it's a little bit below average here in the east, so definitely some changes taking place here. And precipitation here across North America, we're just taking the 120-hour GFS. Pretty much painting the bullseye of precipitation, pretty much in agreement here across central and north central Texas into southeastern Oklahoma, anywhere from 3 to as much as 5 inches, locally higher to 7 inches, and some of these stronger, more persistent thunderstorms, severe weather along this as well. And the stalled out frontal boundary will continue to have successive thunderstorm complexes head up along this front. The rest of the country, we're dealing with a generalized anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Taking a look at the upper air pattern across North America, we have that big trough developing out west. That is propagating the jet stream across the southern plains and the mid-plains and helping create that potential for almost like the blizzard-like system out into the Rocky Mountains and northern plains. And back east, we're continuing to have that stubborn warm wave continuing. And taking a look at your Tuesday across the northeast, take a look at that. This is Tuesday, October 12th. These daytime highs are in line with your average summertime highs. And look at this, mid to upper 70s, and even cracking 80 places like Buffalo, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and DC. Look at that. And many areas approaching 80, 76 in Binghamton, 79 in Syracuse and Burlington. This is really nice. There may be a chance of a stray shower thunderstorm along the Lake Ontario plain here. However, that's with the stationary front slowly moving to the northeast. And this will be pretty much the only spot where there'll be about a 20% chance. Pretty much the entire northeast, we're socked in with beautiful weather here. And taking a look at the southeast for your Tuesday. Tuesday, across much of the southeast, we're clearing out, just the exception South Florida. We're drying out finally in the Carolinas as what's left in Invest93L is zooming off to the northeast. And we do have severe weather, especially in Texas, north central Texas. You can see on the west central portion of your screen, Dallas, Texas, getting into the slight to enhanced risk on the north side. So we're having some problems here, especially in northern Texas. For your Tuesday, damaging wind, large hail, and tornadoes, a big threat here, spilling over from your weekend. Temperatures will be approaching the upper 80s to around 90 along the Gulf Coast. And look at that, inland, Atlanta 84, and then into the 70s into the Carolinas and Norfolk, Virginia. And your Wednesday across the northeast, this just keeps getting better and better. Look at that, 77 in Binghamton and State College, Concord, Atlantic City, 75 in New York, 77 also in Pittsburgh. A little bit cooler towards the lake front, a 74 in Erie, but this really is well above average for this time of year. Even mid-70s way up into Maine here. On the backside of high pressure, cresting just east of Cape Cod. Get out there and enjoy the fall foliage as we're nearing peak, especially in northern New England and northern New York. And taking a look at your Wednesday across the southeast, more of the same. Areas that stayed dry on Tuesday will pretty much stay dry on Wednesday as well. And also, we're looking at severe weather spreading slowly east across Texas. This is an agonizingly slow drift east. Cold front starting to move into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then we have severe thunderstorms extending all the way up into Missouri off the map here. So we have showers and thunderstorms entering eastern Texas as well, right around northwest Louisiana as well. Right around Linden, Texas, Austin, and just northwest of Houston. Damaging wind, large hail, frequent lightning, isolated tornadoes, a distinct possibility here. And your Thursday across the Northeast. If you pretty much have a good portion of this week off, you're going to be really, really, really lucky, because this just keeps getting better. I mean, these are summertime highs in the middle of October, and you got fall foliage to go along with it, all the beautiful colors. And it just can't get much better than this. And the humidity is in the 30 to 40% range. This is beautiful. High pressure cresting overhead just south of State College, Pennsylvania. And look at that. We only have a chance maybe of a shower across Lake Erie, Lake Ontario lakefronts into the St. Lawrence Valley. But it's only a 20% chance, so it's not going to spoil your whole day. Across much of the Northeast, we're just dealing with wall-to-wall sunshine, mid to high 70s, and cracking 80 places like Atlantic City. Look at that, D.C., all the way up to 84. And your Thursday across the southeast, we have more of the same. This is like a broken record. The thunderstorms do progress slightly a little bit to the east, but you see that front up there is now stalling again as a stationary front, keeping the threat of showers and thunderstorms, some with damaging wind, large hail, and isolated tornadoes, especially in that yellow zone there in northeast Texas, northwestern Louisiana, up through Arkansas and Missouri. And then the rest of the southeast not looking too bad. 90s in Florida. 80s up into portions of Georgia and the Carolinas. So very warm for this time of year. And your Friday TGIF across the Northeast. Another just amazing day. This is like, we're looking at like 16 to as much as 23 degrees above average here, especially in these places where we're cracking 80 degrees. 78 in Binghamton, 79 in Scranton, 86 in Washington, D.C. Look at that. There's going to actually be a heat index most likely. New York City approaching 80, and look at that, all the way up into Maine, we're up into the low 70s. So this is pretty remarkable for this time of year. We do have a stationary front draped across Lake Ontario, and this will promote some scattered showers and maybe a rumble of thunder later in the day. But as I said, these are only 20 to 30% chance. We're looking at a tenth of an inch or less for the most part. So get out there and enjoy the fall foliage. And for your Friday across the southeast, look at this. Another day of severe weather across parts of upper Mississippi River. This is a bit further east, so thankfully the front is slowly trying to progress east. It's having a hard time pushing into that high-pressure system off the east coast, however. And, of course, we have temperatures continuing to warm. This is really, really looking like summertime temperatures. We're getting strong thunderstorms even in Nashville, up into Kentucky, and heavy rains down into parts of eastern Texas and Louisiana. So the areas that are staying dry are most of Florida, South Georgia, and eastern Carolinas. Temperatures soaring into the upper 80s to low 90s. Extended forecast for my hometown viewers from Binghamton to Scranton's upper Susquehanna region of upstate New York, northeast Pennsylvania, and all points along the upper Susquehanna River basin here. We're looking at, look at this, Tuesday through Saturday, highs into the 70s. I mean, we're looking at mid to high 70s from Tuesday to Friday. Friday will approach actually 80 degrees. There isn't a chance of a shower until maybe later Saturday as we start to cool down, but you really can't call that much of a cool down, 71, low of 60. This is pretty remarkable. If you do have days off this week, get out and enjoy the fall foliage. We're starting to see those leaves change, especially in the higher elevations in and around the Binghamton area. We're starting to get some changes in the hilltops around Wilkes-Barre area down to Scranton, and pretty much all points along the upper Susquehanna River Basin away from those valley locations. So get out there and enjoy. And as always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern and Hurricane Eastern. I am coming out with my 2021-22 winter weather outlook, so watch for that shortly. Subscribe, hit the bell button so you're alerted when I come out with one of these videos. If you haven't already, comment or question down below. Smash the like button, gets the video more exposure. And as always, thanks for joining me. Meteo Mark on Facebook, also Weather Northeastern, Hurricane Northeastern, as well as Twitter at Weather Eastern.